Computer Science Points Explanation from points 1.2.10 to 1.2.12. This is the table of contents that we will go through. First of all, we will be explaining the possible consequences of failing to involve the end user in the design process. Then we will move on to discussing the social and ethical issues associated with the introduction of new IT systems. Then we will move on to defining the term usability, and lastly, we will be focusing on some IB style questions of the related topics. So first of all, explain the possible consequences of failing to involve the end user in the design process. Why is it important? Failing to consider the end user during the design process is most likely to cause trouble, as you are creating a system based on the end user's requirements, and therefore if you're not involving them, it is almost certain that you will leave out needs of theirs. This will inevitably affect their productivity, as there may be unsatisfaction with the system and may not be suitable for the problems faced. This is an example of the need to include their needs. If you don't take their requirements seriously, it may lead to misunderstandings, same as this picture demonstrates. Depending on your dedication to solve a problem, a solution may come out in one way or another. And as this example shows, neither did the customer explain it well, nor did the company design it efficiently, leading to dissatisfaction in both the company and the end user. Now, moving on. Discuss the social and ethical issues associated with the introduction of new IT systems. A social issue is essentially a problem or situation in which a considerable amount of individuals within a society see themselves affected by a given context. Some notable examples of these are crime, health, education, etc. Whilst an ethical issue is a problem or situation in which it requires the evaluation of the individuals on deciding whether a specified context is either right, which is ethical, or wrong, unethical. Some notable examples of these are computer crime, responsibility for computer failure, privacy, etc. Now, regarding possible social and ethical issues associated with the introduction of new IT systems, I can state that this could replace human workers, which affects our society socially, as many of them would lose their jobs and see themselves replaced by robots. This could also be considered to be an ethical problem, as society does not want this to happen. Therefore, deciding on that it is unethical or wrong. Simultaneously, the introduction of a new system could also be addictive, frustrating, and less efficient, which could lead to a loss of productivity within the workers, affecting a group in a society socially, as they would see a change in their working pattern. Now we will define the term usability. This famous quote states, a user interface is like a joke. If you have to explain it, then it's not that good. This quote refers to the need of simple instructions for a better usability, highlighting the idea of a product being simple enough for the end user to adapt immediately without the need of further assistance or just by using logic. A good example could be a phone. Did you ever see an instruction booklet that instructs basic features of the product? The most likely answer is no, as any user with a bit of logic could figure out how to use it almost immediately due to its incredible usability. Now we will define these two terms, ergonomics and accessibility. Ergonomics, in short terms, it is how well the form fits the function. In simpler words, it means how the design of a product or object matches the intended purpose or function. An example could be this chair. We can say that this chair will not be as efficient as a normal chair would, as it does not fit the intended purpose of a comfortable seat. Now, accessibility refers to the design of products, devices, services, or environments which consider disabilities or specific needs such as braille keyboards, screen readers, voice synthesizers, etc. for people with specific needs. Now, usability is the combination of these two, which depends on how well the form fits its function and consideration of specific needs. If something is accessible to people with specific needs and also fits well to the intended purpose, then the object created is usable or highly usable. This is the usability scale, which is measured with the system usability scale, which gives a grade between 0 and 100 depending on how usable an object is. 25 being the worst imaginable and 100 being the best imaginable. The grade boundaries for these are from 0 to 50 is not acceptable. From 51 to around 62, it's low marginal. From 63 to around 70 is high marginal, and from 71 to 100 is acceptable. Now moving on to the IB questions. Here's a case study related to the first point of 1.2.10. A company is developing a software system for a large organization. The company decides not to consult the end users during the design phase. Now explains the potential issues that might arise due to this decision. A possible answer could be, with the integration of a new system without consulting the end users, there could be a system usability issue, given that the system may not align with their needs, preferences, which leads to problem of use. They might find it difficult to use regarding the features and functionalities. Another problem to consider is possibly poor user adoption and satisfaction. Given that if end users do not form part of the development process, they may feel disconnected from the system and less willing to adopt it. Additionally, the user may not feel as satisfied given the circumstances. And lastly, there may be a misalignment with user requirements, and given that the end user specific needs builds up the productivity of the system, ignoring them can result in a system that fails to address functions essential to the organization. Now here's another case study regarding the second point, 1.2.11. A company introduces a new IT system that automates customer service interaction using AI. Analyze the ethical issues that could arise from this decision and how it may affect a company's reputation and customer trust. Now, a possible answer could be some ethical issues related to this case study could be the fact that the humans working within the organization can lose touch with human beings, or in other words, loss of human interaction. This would massively decrease empathy or personalized support when a robot without human characteristics exists, which could inevitably lead to lose trust in the company as the reputation lowers due to the lack of human assistance and the need to search for customer identification. Simultaneously, it can damage the reputation as for being a cheap company due to not hiring workers but rather relying on artificial intelligence, which is way cheaper. Another concern to keep in mind is data privacy. Artificial intelligence often requires access to large amounts of personal data to function well and deliver correct responses to the given context. This means that the customer information could be leaked to the internet if the provider of the AI utilizes this data inappropriately. And lastly, we have an IB style question regarding point 1.2.12, which is define the term user interface. Now, the possible answer could be, this term refers to an interaction between the individual or the user with a computer system, software, or device, including every single element which the user can interact with, including screens, buttons, icons, etc. And as previously discussed, a well-designed user interface is easy to navigate and understand and aims to improve user experience by making interactions effective and efficient.